All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. Well, I'm going to apologize in advance because I'm going to talk about Khabib and Conor again. But, you know, what do you I mean, Conor's about to fight, man. He's going to fight in like, what, 2 weeks? Less than 2 weeks? And Khabib is going to potentially come back for one more fight, potentially against Conor. There's a lot going on here, man. There's a lot going on. Conor just predicted what he said he's going to do to Dustin. 60-second knockout or inside of that. So we got to talk about this stuff. But what really prompted this video is Daniel Cormier did an interview and he talked about what he thinks will need to happen for Khabib to come back. And that made me go, okay. So now I actually do have another angle to talk about Khabib potentially coming back or not coming back, etc. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, since what I basically am doing in all these videos is just making hypotheses, right? Hypotheses. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit right now. If you like the content, subscribe and ring the bell. So for those of you who are new to the channel, maybe this is a good time for me to kind of specify why you would choose this channel over others in certain situations, okay? So what I do that's different than what everybody else does, certainly better than anyone else in this one category, okay? So you want to go to someone and you want to see like break down who's likely to win a fight and why? Go to the Weasel, man. He's always going to do a better job than me, okay? If you want to do lots of different things, go to Chael. Chael's great. If you want to know what's going on in someone's head, right? Like these fighters that you're watching, like what they're probably thinking, what the strategy is that they're doing, and what's likely to have in the business, like happen in the business, you are never going to find a channel that predicts that stuff better than me, okay? That is the thing that I'm best at, right? What's this guy probably thinking? Why is he going to do that? Why do I think this is likely to happen? As it relates to the business, who is trying to drive this and why, and how are these people going to react to that, etc. All that stuff, no one is going to beat me on that stuff, okay? So this video is going to be mostly talking about that because Daniel Cormier did an interview, like I said, and he talked about what he thinks needs to happen for Khabib to come back for one more, and his answer makes perfect sense and also connects directly to what Conor predicted is going to happen in this fight.
Do you think Khabib is coming back? I know Dana is going to meet with him to try to, use his powers of persuasion. What do you think is going to happen there?
I think that's what he's going to have to do. He's going to have to try to persuade him to fight. I think when you talk about people like Khabib Nurmagomedov, I asked Khabib once, I said, how much money would it take for me to be rich in Dagestan? He said, $5 million and you're rich for the rest of your life. Khabib has much more than $5 million.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much the money is going to be the thing that draws him back into the octagon. I think it's going to have to be, Dana's going to have to tap into something within his spirit to try to get him to fight again, because he's one of those guys that doesn't need as much, and he makes so much money outside of the octagon at this point that it would have to be something that would drive him competitively to come back and fight, because I don't think it's going to be money.
So I have, certainly hypothesized that that Khabib and Ali Abdelaziz may have been playing an angle this whole way, where it was like, oh, I'm retired, right? I'm retired. And they knew this Conor fight was going to get offered to him, and they were trying to, get prepared so they could milk as much money as possible out of it, okay? And the more it looks like you don't want to fight, the more money you can get, okay? I certainly have hypothesized that. I don't know if that's for sure true. But let's say that Khabib really is on the fence about coming back, okay? So let's operate from that hypothesis during this video, because Daniel Cormier made a comment that I think is very interesting and directly plays into this, what Conor predicted, which is a 60-second knockout, okay? So what DC said was, there needs to be something more than money, right? He said that he asked Khabib, how much money would you need to be like rich, really rich in Dagestan? And Khabib told him $5 million, you're rich forever, okay? And I've actually heard that in Dagestan, it costs, the average cost of living monthly is like $16. Okay, so yeah, $5 million, you'd be very, very wealthy there. So I also think maybe I should just move there. Although, I don't know. Not sure how welcoming they are to people that are just like, hey, I heard it's really cheap to live here. I'm from America, I don't speak Russian, but I respect your way of life. I really like you guys. I would love to be welcomed in with open arms. They're like, Anyway, but yeah, so DC's point was Khabib has a lot more money than $5 million. So he doesn't need money. He said it's going to need to be something that inspires him to come back, right? It's going to need to be something that inspires him. Now, Khabib also already said, I already choked out both Dustin and Conor. True, right? True. That's why I know he's not going to come back and fight Dustin. It's not a big enough fight. It's not inspiring. It's not a big enough fight. Now, if people think that Khabib is this guy who doesn't operate off of anything other than just like, you know, I just want to compete again for the 100th time, that's not correct, okay? So if you think that this is going to be the biggest fight ever and there's incredible attention on this fight and everyone really wants to see it, you think that's not going to affect Khabib, I completely disagree with that. I completely disagree with that, right? Think about it from his perspective, okay? So what I'm saying about that is, let's say that DC is correct about that it's going to need to be something very inspiring to bring him back. Now, let's imagine a few different scenarios relating to the Conor and Dustin rematch that could happen, and then whether that's going to bring Khabib back for another fight, okay? So let's say, hypothetically, that Dustin wins. I mean, I'll tell you right now, Khabib is not coming back to fight Dustin. At least I don't think so. I do not believe he'll come back and fight Dustin. If he comes back for a 30th fight, I think in that event, he might even like go up to 170 and fight or something. Because I do think he's going to fight again. But he's not fighting Dustin at 155, okay? Now let's say that Conor wins a sloppy decision, right? It's back and forth. You know, it's a great fight, but Conor's not dominant. Say this fight looks very similar to the second Nate Diaz fight. Or it looks very similar to Dustin versus Dan Hooker. Just a long, drawn-out boxing fest where they're just beating the hell out of each other, and Conor wins like a really heavy one, like bleeding and exhausted decision. I don't think Khabib's going to come back to fight him for that. I don't. I mean, I think it's possible just because of the size and scope of that fight. I think it's possible. But now let's talk about the other thing, okay? Let's say Conor does exactly what he says he's going to do, and he comes out, and like he just predicted, he rips through Dustin. He knocks him out inside 60 seconds, okay? And not like some, you know, actually, I mean, the circumstances won't matter if he knocks him out inside 60 seconds. But let's say it's one of his absolutely beautifully timed, like it's a demonstration of incredible skills, like incredible skills and power, you know, a focused Conor. That's the one thing everyone has agreed now. That Conor was not focused when he fought Khabib the first time, right? He was not focused. You could almost call him a different fighter in the event that he comes out and he just smokes Dustin, okay? So if he comes out and he smokes Dustin, just rips through him. Dustin Poirier, who has never, aside from Conor, just gotten run through like that. Actually, I guess Michael Johnson knocked him out, but at least in any of his recent fights, he can take an immense amount of punishment and keep coming forward. He's an incredible boxer. If Conor comes out and just obliterates him and then walks around the octagon and now there's going to be a crowd. And then you factor in that by the time he and Khabib were going to fight, crowds will probably be back, right? Give it 6-7 months of the vaccine getting distributed. I'm not getting into politics. I'm just saying in terms of how this is going to play out, 6-7 months of the vaccine, you know, you're gonna have crowds again. And so maybe one of the very, very first full auditorium fights back, or let's just say it would be the first full auditorium fight with all the fans back. And for this one, you could do it in a 70, 80,000 person auditorium. And it's going to be Conor against Khabib in the rematch after Conor fully focused, obliterated the number one contender. I'm telling you, you think Khabib's not taking that fight? You think Khabib doesn't want that? So this is the point I'm trying to make. Do you think these two things are the same? If Conor wins a slap out, you know, barely won decision, and then they're going to fight in July like at the Apex Center with no crowd, you know, do you guys think that's the same thing as if Conor obliterates Dustin Poirier and leaves no doubt that he is the fucking man again, right? Focused, the fucking man. And there's all this hype and everybody's talking, Conor, he's focused now all around the internet. Dude, this is a different Conor. This would be the fight of the century. You really think that that's the same thing? It's not the same thing, okay? It is not the fucking same thing. And I think Khabib takes that fight. And again, my prediction about the rematch happening has always hinged on Conor ripping through Dustin, because I do think that's what's going to happen. And then I do think that that's what's going to happen. I think there's going to be tremendous... I'll tell you what I'm not convinced of, is Dana says he's going to have an answer on Khabib like this week, right after he meets with Khabib. I would love to be wrong. I would love to have it be, if Conor beats Dustin, Khabib has agreed to the rematch. Maybe that'll happen, actually. But I don't know. It seems like a missed opportunity to me. Like, why not still play it like you don't know? And then when Conor wins, you bring Khabib into the octagon, talk to both of them and be like, no more fucking brawls, you guys. And then you have them face off. Ooh. Yeah, that. Oh my God. Try to picture that, dude. Picture that, okay? Conor goes out and just rips through Dustin. He hasn't barely even broken a sweat. He takes in all that, and they put a microphone in his face, and they tell him at that time, they say, we just want you to know that Khabib has accepted a rematch. Brings him in, and they square off like Brock Lesnar and DC, except this time it's real. And they're face to face. Khabib fucking ice cold. Like, his eyes are fucking glass. He's just looking through Conor. Conor just obliterated Dustin Poirier. His energy is this big, and they're just nose to nose. Oh my God. Oh my God. I mean, just one time. And then, honestly, the spectacle of that fucking fight, man. Like, new crowds. God, please, God. Please let that happen. Anyway, yeah. That's what I think is going to happen. Peace.